Finances are a very broad category. There's budgeting, saving, insurance, estate planning, taxes, a lot of different things. And these things definitely interconnect, but they are all very distinct things. They're their own separate things. But there is one similarity, one commonality actually, between all of these different things. And that commonality is you. See, the vision that I had for this channel, for these platforms that I'm trying to create, is to be able to create a community where people are consistently learning about how money flows into and out of their bank accounts. But it's also about how does the outside world convince you to spend more money than you intended. Every single business does this. There's actually a department within business that's solely focused on that. It's called advertising. And I wanted to be able to ensure that even though we're talking about budgeting or saving or little tips and tricks here to help you save a couple extra hundreds of rands or even thousands of rands, I also want to be able to make sure that every single person who's subscribed here is an informed spender, where you know why it is that you're going to spend whatever you're going to spend. You also understand how different businesses are going to try and convince you to spend more money than you actually intended. I want everyone to be a smarter consumer, a smarter investor, and a smarter spender. And the best way to go about doing that is to be able to educate yourself, and that's why I make these kinds of videos. Okay, fine. That was very long and very boring. Okay, cool. What's today's video going to be about? I'm going to be talking about how restaurants convince you to spend more money than you intended. Restaurants have a lot of tips and tricks, a lot of psychological things that they use to encourage you to buy more, to get an extra glass of wine, to buy an extra appetizer, for example. And I want everyone to be able to know this kind of stuff because one, it's kind of cool in my opinion, and two, you need to be very, very smart when it comes to what it is that you spend your money on. Let me ask you a question. What do you think restaurants sell? If you're like a lot of people, you're probably going to say that restaurants sell food. And if you just say that, you're not going to be wrong technically, but there's a big part that I think you're missing in that answer to that question. The really main thing that restaurants sell is experience. I'm not talking about fast foods. Those ones just sell primarily food. They don't really care about your customer experience as much as restaurants actually do. With restaurants, they actually sell an experience. So if I were to ask a restaurateur, what is their definition of a perfect customer experience? It's one where the customer is so engulfed and so enveloped in the atmosphere and the vibe and the overall mood of the restaurant that the customer even forgets how much they're going to be spending, and they don't really concern themselves with the amount of money they're going to be spending. That's the best kind of customer to have. And as I take you through every single psychological trick that they use to get you to spend more money, you're going to realize that the goal is still that. The goal is to make sure that you forget about your wallet, you forget about money, you forget about your budget, and you're just there for the experience. You'll sort out the consequences once you've left the restaurant. And you're going to see that through every single thing that we're going to talk about. Restaurants do something called menu engineering. Sounds very cool, and in my opinion, it actually is. So basically what menu engineering is this: designing the menu in a way where the customer is more likely to see more expensive dishes or dishes that are part of combos or something like that. When you're reading a menu, the menu, let's say for example, the menu is selling a red velvet cake. The menu is not going to say red velvet cake and then have all the ingredients listed there. The better thing to do that a couple of restaurants do is this. Instead of saying red velvet cake, they'll say 3 layers of moist cocoa infused scarlet cake, generously layered with our signature tangy cream cheese and finished with red velvet cake crumbles. Now, the idea behind this is this. When you're reading the menu, you need to be able to naturally look at the description before you look at the price. That way, once you've read the description, no matter how high the price is, chances are you're going to try and use the description to justify such a high price point. Restaurants tend to offer people bread right before their first meal comes up. And there's actually a big biological trick that's being used here. See, the thing is this. Bread, particularly white bread, is a simple carb. So when you eat white bread or any other simple carb on an empty stomach, it raises your blood sugar. Your blood sugar spikes, but then it crashes down very quickly because it's not a lot of bread. The moment your blood sugar decides to drop, that actually makes you much hungrier as opposed to much more full. So by the time you're gonna come through with your first meal, you already want more than what the first meal is offering. And a hungrier customer is a customer who's gonna be, chances are they're probably gonna order an extra appetizer, a second glass of wine. You can squeeze a little bit more money out of them because of the fact that they ate the bread. Music and lighting. Remember what I said at the beginning of the video. Restaurants primarily sell an experience. The idea behind a restaurant is this: you're supposed to feel as relaxed as possible. So restaurateurs went out there to look for the most relaxing lighting, the most relaxing music. And oftentimes what they found is that the dimmer the lighting, the more relaxed the person feels. Obviously, you don't want to be eating in complete darkness, but at the same time, you don't want to be eating in a place that is incredibly well lit. Why? Because if you're at a restaurant with somebody else and you are in a restaurant that is very brightly lit, there's literally bulbs everywhere, and you can see everyone very, very vividly, it doesn't really make the restaurant experience feel personal anymore. And that can be a bit overwhelming for a person and prevent them from feeling more relaxed. That's why a lot of these guys use much dimmer lighting. There you have it. 3 interesting ways that restaurants use to encourage you to spend more money. Now, since you've watched this video up until the end, I must ask a question. Has this taken the fun out of the restaurant experience for you? Or do you think it's just gonna make you a bit more, aware and still be able to enjoy? One last thing I forgot to say, please subscribe, like, comment on this video as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one.